The Great and British Dunlop Motorsport Festival is the home of both the ultra-quick Radical Enduro and Biduro Sports Car Championships. These are the battlegrounds on which the Radical Championships are fought over, 9 rounds in all on some of the best racetracks in Europe. Round 6 is contested at Thruxton, and we can take a tour of what's reckoned to be the fastest circuit in the British Isles with Roger Bromley.
Thruxton is an awesome circuit. It's ever so quick, and about 60% of the racetrack is almost flat out.
Campbell's a very tricky right, left, right. You've got to make the apexes at the first right and the first left. Straight into the long left-hander of Noble. Noble is an awesomely fast left-hander. It's a double apex. Church is deceptive. Again, it's very tight, and there's not much space to go off there. Down 3 or 4 gears to make your way around the club chicane. Deep exit, almost at the barrier as you then power out into 3rd, 4th, 5th along the start-finish straight. A wonderful race circuit and a wonderful lap.
The Dunlop Radical Enduro Series is split into 2 categories. The SR3 sports cars run PowerTech Suzuki 1500 engines, and the more powerful SR8 sports cars run V8s. It's a Le Mans style event with the driver changes halfway through the racing. The quickest in qualifying is the duo of Austin Kinsella and Richard Ince.
Yeah, qualifying went well. We had a few problems with tyres. Tyres were very blistered at the end of it, so we've had to unfortunately change tyres overnight. So we're going out on unscrummed rubber, so that's obviously going to put us at a disadvantage for the start. But I think over the whole race we'll be in contention.
Conditions superb for the first Dunlop Radical Enduro race of the day. The drivers taking their positions on the grid. It's a rolling start. Let's see how they'll line up. This is how they'll start. It's Ince and Mosley on row 1. Padmore and Moulton on row 2. Atkins and Dove on row 3, Richardson and Redwood, the SR3 drivers, on row 4, Edwards and Gibb on row 5, Fletcher and Fish on row 6, and Milner and Timpano on row 7. It's a rolling start as ever in the Radical Enduro Championship. Ince and Mosley alongside each other as they cross the line. Will the lights go out? It looks like a clean start. Green flags are waving, so everybody nudges everybody else as they roar down to turn 1. And it looks like it's Stuart Mosley who leads. Indeed it is Stuart Mosley who leads. Simon Moulton, great start from row 2 for him. He's up into 2nd place. That's number 2. Nick Dove, he's 4th. Oh, and then it's number 46, the first of the SR3 cars, followed by 31. So that is Edwards leading Redwood. Richard Ince gets swallowed up by 28, Nick Padmore. Not a great start by Richard Ince. He was on the front row. Well, he's on pole position, and he's going to lose another place by the looks of it as through comes Nick Dove. Well, poor opening lap for number 66, Timpano. Through the chicane they come. Well, here's the SR3 battle. Stuart Mosley leading, and it seems to be a lead that he's extending. Simon Moulton certainly on his case. Big gap back to the man in 3rd place. That's Nick Padmore. 4th is Nick Dove as he exits the complex at Thruxton. And the man in 5th place, that's car number 4, Lee Atkins. Game over for Timpano. Stuart Mosley, 1 win already this year. That's him and his team. Oh, 28 is out. Now that is Nick Padmore leading the SR3 class. That's number 31, Nigel Redwood. Oh, someone's in the dirt. That's 44, Martin Schleppi. Stuart Mosley continues to lead this race. Pit change is coming up soon. Oh, now then he's in the way. He can't get it going. So thankfully everybody can see him and make their way through. Oh, and he manages, Schleppi, to get the car underway again. As through comes the race leader, the SR8 man, Stuart Mosley. Tim Greaves is ready and waiting for him in pit lane. The drivers swap over. Number 4 is Lee Atkins. Now he's driving under a 10-second penalty, so 10 seconds have to be added onto his time. He's 3rd on the road, but 4th overall. Stuart Mosley coming into the pits. Now pit lane isn't open for the changeover, so he must have a problem. That means Simon Moulton, number 53, will now lead this race. So disaster maybe for Stuart Mosley. Oh, this is costing him time. Tim Greaves waiting to get in the car, but they'll have to wait a bit longer because the pit lane isn't officially open yet. So a mechanical problem somewhere for Stuart Greaves as off goes number 46 across the chicane. That's Edwards. Stuart Mosley manages to get back out on track again, but he's lost a whole chunk of time. Number 2 is Nick Dove. Change over time then, 53 Simon Moulton. He just has to sit there because he doesn't have another driver to hand over to. Tim Greaves is now motoring. Here's the SR3 guys. Oh, stop-go penalty for Simon Moulton. So Simon Moulton possibly speeding in pit lane. Number 2 is Phil Abbott. Oh, he's spun. Phil Abbott has spun at the chicane. Stop-go penalty for Simon Moulton. And he's back out again. 31, that is Alex Mortimer. So the checkered flag is out. Here is the man that is going to win, Simon Moulton, car 53. Only his second radical meeting this year, and he's going to take the flag for the first time. Over he goes. Great performance from him.
Nigel Redwood needed a win in SR3 and he got it ahead of title rivals James Richardson and Ben Devlin. It's a convincing victory in the SR8 for Simon Moulton despite the time penalty, and it's only his second meeting of the year.
It was a bit of an eye-opener in qualifying. First time I sort of driven the car in anger, a little bit off it, and then close to the pace in the race, and just kept it consistent, and the result was superb.
No, I go out every race now and I just want to win. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's 0-0 and this is a new race.
James Saggers takes his position on the front row of the grid alongside him, Guy Hodgkin. They've locked horns already this season. And this is how they line up, as we've seen. It's Saggers and Hodgkin, Terence Woodward and Simon Packer on row 2, Daniel Rowbottom and Malcolm Barnett on row 3, Chris Stoney, he's in the championship hunt, he's on row 4 alongside Toby Newton, Andrew Ferguson and Rob Weldon on row 5, Jacob Greaves and Nick Sinfield on row 6, with Roger Bromley some way back on row 7 alongside Chris Enderby. Oh, we're away. Who's going to get the best start? Oh, Saggers, sluggish to say the least, but he's going to be second, is he? Terence Woodward looks to have slipped into third place. We're with Roger Bromley. Some good performances from him this season, but he struggled in qualifying, and he's way down the order as they go into the complex. Oh, he's looking to go up the inside. He goes 1, 2 places. Great drive from Bromley. The door was open. He took it. 50 is Toby Newton. And 66 is Malcolm Barnett. And number 7, Simon Packer. Dreadful start from Simon Packer. Was on row 2. But Guy Hodgkin's the man who leads. He's the man who needs the result. James Saggers is following. We're back with Roger Bromley. Down in around 8th or 9th place. Oh, somebody's smoking alongside him. Saggers getting closer to Hodgkin as they come into the chicane. Woodward is 3rd. 4th is 89, Chris Stoney. We're with Roger Bromley. He is 9th as he crosses the line to complete lap 1. So quick, these Radical SR4s, and Hodgkin seems to be quicker than anyone else. He's certainly leading, but he's also opening up an advantage over James Saggers. Daniel Rowbottom into the pits after being shown the black and orange flag. Guy Hodgkin leads. Here comes Roger Bromley. That's Rob Weldon. He nearly got very, very close to. Roger Bromley then looking for good drive. He's in a real tough fight at the moment. Simon Packer's ahead of them. 32, Daniel Railroad bottom, leaves. Everything's okay for him to resume racing. Terence Woodward, car number 88, he's in third. Good drive from Woodward. Had some disappointing performances this year. Roger Bromley, this is the approach to the chicane. Oh, four-way fight. Rob Weldon on the inside. Oh, now then, just in front, Barnett. That's his rear wings collapsed. So he's got a problem. It's going to be really difficult steering that car. Oh, Bromley takes one in the side. Oh, he's managed to keep it going in the right direction. So they've really been scrapping out there today. Oh, James Saggers is off. James Saggers second in the race. He's gone off at the complex. That's going to cost him. Oh, Roger Bromley really hard. A bit too quick in there into the complex. Now, is he going to rejoin, or is that looks like the end of Roger Bromley? Seems to have some kind of a problem, possibly because of that shunt. Here we are on board again as they go into the chicane. 2 into 1 doesn't go. Manages to keep going, but it's damaged the car by the looks of it. This is Malcolm Barnett. Rear wing has collapsed. So he gets the instruction there. He might be able to rejoin. Oh, who's that? Number 11, Ian Simmons. For a moment, I thought it may have been Guy Hodgkin. It is Guy Hodgkin who continues to lead. Terence Woodward is coming under pressure from number 50, Toby Newton. Oh, and they've touched. Woodward carries on. Toby Newton almost collects Simon Packer as through comes Chris Stoney. Toby Newton's the one who comes off worst. Here we go again into the chicane. Simon Packer at the back, but 2 into 1 again doesn't go. And 88, Terence Woodward just manages to escape. Well, Guy Hodgkin needs a good result. He's going to get a good result. Terence Woodward, what a result from him. Hodgkin's lap times have certainly been a lot slower towards the end of this race. He takes the flag. He wins. Woodward is second, and Simon Packer's going to take third.
A poor result by his standards for James Saggers, and he won't score too well in 10th place. Close rival Chris Stoney missed out on a podium position behind Simon Packer and Terence Woodward, but a great result for Guy Hodgkin.
And I was about to back off, and I thought, no, anything can happen during this race, so we'll see what happens. So I kept the pressure on, and then actually started getting misfire, so it was rather a relief.
Tim Greaves takes pole position then for the second Dunlop Radical race of the day. Alongside him, car number 3, that's Richard Ince. This is how they line up the front row then. It's Greaves and Ince. Then on row 2, Reynolds and Moulton. They're the first away. On row 3, Atkins and Dove. Row 4 is the SR3, the quickest men, Mortimer and Richardson. Cook and Swift on row 5. Fletcher and Fish on row 6. And Milner and Timpano. They'll get the race underway from row 7. Another rolling start. And we're waiting. It looks like a good to go. Everybody seems to be in position, and away we go. And it's going to be Greaves, by the looks of it, who's going to have the advantage into turn 1. Ince follows. The Atkins has to be push started. The car just will not fire up. It has to be bumped to get going. Number 30 is James Richardson. Looks like he's leading SR3 at the moment. But SR8, well, it's a two-way fight between Greaves and Simon Moulton at the end of the opening lap, and it's going to be Simon Moulton who will cross the finish line first. Long way to go, though, of course, remember. Simon Moulton driving on his own this weekend. 76 is Tim Greaves. He'll hand over to Stuart Mosley, looking for a better result. Let's look at that move again. Up the inside comes Simon Moulton. You can get such a drag into the chicane at Thruxton, and Moulton really using that to his advantage. No, looks like it's game over for car number 5. That's James Swift, as through comes 31 Alex Mortimer. On number 46, it's Jonathan Cook. And it's game over for Quaife and Atkins. Simon Moulton past one of the slower SR3 cars. At 76, he's still hanging on in second place. That's Tim Greaves. Oh, they've managed to get it going again. So, Lee Atkins back out on track. 53, Simon Moulton is coming in. Car's changing over. Simon Moulton has no one to hand over to. He has to sit in the car, wait for the signal to go, and he can rejoin the race. It's an energy sapping race at that, and it is often advantageous to hand over to a fresher driver, which is what most of these guys are doing. In comes Mortimer. He'll hand over to Nigel Redwood. Out goes Simon Moulton again. Now this is going to be interesting. Phil Quaife takes over from Lee Atkins, but they have to bump start the car. It wouldn't start yesterday. They put a new starting motor in, etc. And they're going to have to bump it from pit lane again. Through the complex. Oh, that is Phil Quaife. He spun. Now he's got to keep the engine going. If he doesn't, well, it is game over because he won't be able to start it up. Three-way fight over the finish line for some of the SR3 cars. Oh, Phil Quaife, that is it. It's a DNF, and because of where he's stuck, it means the safety car's out now. It's going to bunch everybody back up. Simon Moulton, Stuart Mosley now closer in second place. Oh, safety car's in. So here we go again. Simon Moulton certainly got the power on really, really quick as number 30. That is Ben Devlin in the SR3. Third on the road, the leading SR3. Through goes Stuart Mosley to take over at the front. Stuart Mosley now leads. Simon Moulton, now can he find a spare bit of track in which he can get past? 46 is Ross Edwards. 31 is Nigel Redwood, who goes past to take another place. Simon Moulton seems to be going backwards. Stuart Mosley, though, second win of the year for him and Tim Greaves. Great performance.
A second win of the season for Tim Greaves and Stuart Mosley in what's been an up and down year for them, while it's double victory here at Thruxton for Nigel Redwood and Alex Mortimer. Close title rivals Ben Devlin and James Richardson finish in fourth place. And today's results really have tightened up the title chase, as we can see. Lee Atkins and Phil Quaife maintain their lead in SR8, but the crews of Nick Dove and Phil Abbott and Stuart Mosley and Tim Greaves have closed in points-wise, and it's getting tighter in SR3 as well.
James Saggers, well, he was far from happy at the end of race 1, finishing 10th. He's in pole for this one. Guy Hodgkin alongside him. He could do with another win. This is how they line up. Saggers in pole, Guy Hodgkin alongside him. Simon Packer, terrible start in race 1, recovered for a podium position behind Woodward. They're on row 2. Malcolm Barnett and Daniel Rowbottom on row 3. Toby Newton and Rob Weldon, the newcomer, on row 4. Chris Stoney and Jacob Greaves on 5. Ferguson Sinfield on 6, with our onboard camera with Roger Bromley on row 7 alongside Ian Moore. Away we go. Now, we had a poor start from Saggers, and this one's even worse by the looks of it. He's lost 3 places. He's down into 5th, is he, into turn 1, but the best start of all goes to this man, Guy Hodgkin, into the complex. He leads 66, Malcolm Barnett, that's good from him. Woodward is 3rd, but coming under increasing pressure from James Saggers. That was a really awful start as Saggers manages to save it. Well, he was trying very, very hard. He gave 101% there, trying to make up for that dreadful start. Nearly chucked it away altogether. It's a 3-way fight for 3rd. Woodward in car 88, Packer in car 7. Here we go again. Woodward and James Saggers coming to blows. Saggers just saving it. James Saggers now making a move on Malcolm Barnett. Here he comes. He takes another place, moves up the order again. Into the chicane they come. It's still Guy Hodgkin who leads. James Saggers says that even though he knows good points will win him the championship, he wants to win every race, and he will go for the win in every race. Guy Hodgkin, well, it's simple. He needs to win every race. He's already got one under his belt today. Someone else comes into the pits. Now somebody's got a problem at the chicane. Will that bring the safety car out? It's Ian Moore. No, he's managed to get it going again. So Ian Moore rejoins. Oh, now something's wrong. He's not got any steering there. Or has he? No, he manages to get going again. Guy Hodgkin, well, really poor, really, by his standards at Silverstone. But it's all coming together for him this weekend. 32 is Daniel Rowbottom. Great drive from him. And that's the end of Roger Bromley. Simon Packer, awful start for him in race one, but recovered superbly to finish third. He's got Malcolm Barnett for company this time. They're fighting it out for fourth place. James Saggers into the chicane. And 32, Daniel Rowbottom really sticking with Saggers. Guy Hodgkin still leads, 66. That's the man in fifth place, Malcolm Barnett, behind Simon Packer. But here comes Guy Hodgkin into the chicane. He needed a double victory this weekend. He's going to get one. Here he comes, Guy Hodgkin to cross the line to take win number 2 for the weekend. Great performance from him. So we're waiting for Daniel Rowbottom and James Saggers. Oh, it's now Rowbottom's through. Saggers has had a problem, so Saggers is going to take third and Simon Packer fourth.
Well, that dramatic last lap saw James Saggers lose out on second place, but he guided the car home in third behind Daniel Rowbottom, who records his best finish of the season, while Guy Hodgkin helps himself to yet another double victory. Hodgkin and Saggers soak each other on the podium. And in terms of the championship, the results have closed the pair back together again. Hodgkin once more edging closer to Saggers' total. Not a great weekend for Chris Stoney in third. His challenge may just be fizzling out now.